The person who broke your heart, the stranger who smiled at you, none of them are accidents. No one enters your life by chance. Have you ever wondered if the people who appear in your life are random, or if there's a hidden reason behind every encounter? Buddhist wisdom teaches us that no meeting is by chance. Every relationship, no matter how brief or challenging, carries a purpose. Think about it. The friend who feels like family the moment you meet, or the colleague who constantly tests your patience, these aren't coincidences. They're mirrors, reflecting parts of yourself you might not see otherwise. Some people enter your life to nurture your compassion, while others arrive to challenge your boundaries, to awaken strength you didn't know you had. From a Zen perspective, life is like a vast tapestry. Each person is a thread woven into your story. Without them, the pattern wouldn't be complete. The stranger's smile on a difficult day, the mentor who appears just when you're lost, even the heartbreak that breaks you open, they are all sacred teachers. It may sound mysterious, but there's also a psychological truth here. Modern psychology shows us that relationships are powerful triggers. They bring to the surface the wounds we've ignored, and they also offer the medicine we need to heal. What Buddhism calls karma, psychology might call patterns. Both point to the same truth. No one enters your life by chance. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this person here to teach me?" That shift changes everything. Suddenly, life stops feeling like chaos and begins to feel like a classroom for the soul. And here's the beautiful part. When we approach each connection with mindfulness and gratitude, even the painful ones, we unlock the wisdom hidden inside them. We see that every encounter, whether lasting a lifetime or just a moment, is an opportunity for growth, healing, and awakening. And now we arrive at the very first part of today's video, the hidden nature of relationships in Buddhism. Buddhist wisdom teaches us something profound. Relationships are never random. They are not accidents or coincidences, but carefully woven threads in the tapestry of our lives. Each connection we make is a doorway to growth, learning, and awakening. Think of karma, not as a punishment or reward, but as a simple truth. Our past and present actions shape the reality we live today. Every smile you've given, every harsh word you've spoken, every act of kindness or neglect, all of these ripple forward, meeting you again through the people who enter your life. They do not arrive by chance. They are answers to the seeds you once planted. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant bond as if you've known them forever? Buddhism suggests this isn't just imagination. It may be the echo of a connection from another lifetime, resurfacing to remind you of unfinished lessons or to nurture a deeper truth within you. These friendships feel like coming home, gentle reminders that the soul recognizes what the mind has forgotten. But not all encounters are gentle. Sometimes a relationship arrives like a storm, stirring emotions so intense they feel unbearable. That person who frustrates you, who seems to know exactly how to push your buttons, may actually be a mirror. They reveal the parts of you that remain unresolved, anger you still carry, wounds you haven't healed, fears you keep hidden. Instead of running away, Buddhism invites us to see these moments as opportunities, the chance to dissolve old karmic imprints and finally set ourselves free. This idea may sound mystical, but modern psychology agrees. Therapists call this projection, the way we see in others what we can't yet face in ourselves. Buddhism simply goes deeper, reminding us that these patterns are not accidents. They are karmic teachers. The colleague who challenges your patience is not just an obstacle. They are the very mirror reflecting where your patience ends and where compassion needs to begin. Relationships, then, are not just about companionship or love. They are sacred classrooms. Every person who enters your life is a teacher in disguise. Some bring joy, some bring pain, but all bring lessons that shape your spirit. Imagine the people in your life as candles. Some shine softly, bringing comfort. Others burn hot, forcing you to step back and learn respect for your own boundaries. Yet together, they all light the path of your awakening. This perspective changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can begin to ask, "Well, what is this showing me about myself?" That shift transforms resentment into curiosity and pain into growth. Life becomes less about suffering through random events and more about awakening through meaningful encounters. At its heart, Buddhism whispers this truth. No one you meet is without purpose. The stranger who offers kindness, the friend who supports you, the rival who challenges you, they are all threads in the same fabric, pulling you toward a deeper awareness. The question is, are you willing to see the lesson? As we begin to see that every relationship carries meaning, a deeper question naturally arises. If no one enters our life by chance, then what do these connections reveal about us? With that, we move into the next part of today's video. Every relationship is a mirror of self-discovery. Every person you encounter is like a mirror, showing you aspects of yourself that may remain hidden without them. They don't simply pass by, they hold up reflections, sometimes gentle, sometimes uncomfortable, that help you see your strengths and your weaknesses. A kind companion, for example, doesn't just provide comfort. They awaken your ability to trust, to lean on another, and to open your heart without fear. Their presence teaches you that vulnerability is not weakness, but the foundation of true connection. A difficult colleague or a challenging partner, on the other hand, offers a very different lesson. They might irritate you, push your boundaries, or ignite emotions you wish you didn't have. But if you look closely, they are training you in patience, teaching you the art of forgiveness, and showing you how to stay grounded when storms arise. These are not easy teachers, but perhaps the most necessary ones. Even fleeting encounters matter. The smile of a stranger, the kindness of someone you may never meet again. These brief sparks remind us of our shared humanity. They whisper that, despite differences in culture, status, or belief, there is something universal binding us together. Sometimes a single moment of kindness from a stranger can heal wounds that words could never touch. From a Buddhist perspective, these encounters are not random background noise in the story of your life. They are chapters of your soul's book, each one revealing a different lesson about who you are and who you are becoming. Zen wisdom teaches that to know the world is to know yourself, because the outer world only reflects what already lives within. Think of it this way. Life is like walking through a hall of mirrors. Some mirrors show your beauty and strength. Others highlight scars you wish to ignore. But together they reveal the whole truth of who you are. Without these mirrors, you would never see yourself fully. Without these relationships, your self-understanding would remain incomplete. Modern psychology echoes this idea. It tells us that relationships are one of the greatest tools for personal growth because they trigger patterns and emotions we cannot access alone. While meditation helps us find inner stillness, relationships challenge us to bring that stillness into motion, into real life. This is why Buddhism often describes life itself as the true meditation hall. So instead of asking, why is this person in my life? The better question becomes, what can I learn from them? This single shift in perspective transforms resistance into acceptance and frustration into curiosity. Every encounter, whether tender, painful, or brief, becomes a stepping stone on your spiritual journey. Self-discovery is not always comfortable. Sometimes it requires honesty about the parts of ourselves we would rather deny. But relationships give us the courage to face them. They show us that we are not just isolated individuals, but beings woven into a vast network of shared lessons. Ultimately, relationships are not simply about finding happiness or avoiding pain. They are about waking up to who you really are. And when you recognize that each person is a mirror, you begin to walk through life with more compassion, more patience, and more gratitude, not only for others, but for yourself. As we reflect on how every relationship helps us discover who we are, another truth gently emerges. Not all encounters are easy. Not all lessons come wrapped in kindness. Some arrive as storms, shaking the very ground beneath us. And so we will now move into the next part of today's video. Challenges in relationships as catalysts for spiritual growth. Difficult relationships often carry the sharpest lessons. They confront us with our deepest fears, our attachments, and the places where we have yet to grow. A painful bond may demand that we finally set healthy boundaries, speak our truth, or let go of what we once thought we could never live without. These moments hurt, but they also awaken strength we might not discover any other way. Buddhism often uses the image of the lotus flower, a symbol of purity and enlightenment that blooms only in muddy waters. Just as the lotus rises through the darkness of the mud, our spiritual growth often emerges from the struggles and hardships we would rather avoid. The people who challenge us, who stir up sorrow or anger, may actually be the mud beneath our lotus, giving us the conditions to bloom. Consider the heartbreak that once shattered you. At the time, it may have felt unbearable, even meaningless. But looking back, you may see how it pushed you to find resilience, to redefine your worth, or to seek a deeper love that honors your soul. Or think of a relationship that drained you until you finally said enough. That breaking point was painful, but it also marked the beginning of a new boundary, a new strength, a new chapter. From a Zen perspective, suffering is never punishment. It is transformation in disguise. When someone triggers your insecurities, they are giving you the chance to see the wounds you still carry. When you feel abandoned, you are being invited to cultivate self-reliance. When anger arises, you are being shown where compassion has not yet reached. Modern psychology reflects this too. Growth rarely comes in comfort. It is often through friction, conflict, and disappointment that we learn to expand our emotional resilience. What Buddhism calls attachment and letting go, psychology might call dependency and individuation. Both point toward the same truth. Struggle is not the end, it is the path. The real question is not, why is this suffering here? But what is this suffering teaching me? When we embrace that shift, even pain becomes purposeful. Instead of seeing difficulties as curses, we begin to see them as catalysts, forces that break us open, only to rebuild us stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. This doesn't mean we should remain in toxic or harmful relationships. Buddhism also teaches the wisdom of discernment, knowing when to walk away, when to protect your peace, and when to let go. But even as we release certain connections, we can hold gratitude for the lessons they carried. Every storm leaves behind clearer skies. Every ending makes space for a new beginning. Ultimately, the relationships that wound us are also the ones that shape us. They are the fire that purifies, the mud that nourishes, the storm that clears the path. And though they may hurt in the moment, they are never meaningless. They are the sacred catalysts of our awakening, reminding us that the journey of growth is not about avoiding pain, but about transforming it into wisdom. After exploring how challenges shape us into wiser, more compassionate beings, another truth quietly arises. Nothing in life is permanent, not even the bonds we hold most dear. And so we will now move into the next part of today's video, impermanence and the art of letting go in relationships. Buddhism teaches that all things are impermanent. People enter our lives and eventually they leave. Sometimes they drift away gently, sometimes they depart suddenly. But the truth remains. Clinging to permanence only creates suffering. When we insist that someone should stay forever, we resist the natural flow of life. Letting go, however, does not mean indifference. It means honoring the present moment, cherishing what is here while it is here. A relationship may last decades, weaving itself deeply into the story of your life. Another may last only days or even moments, yet leave an imprint so profound that it changes you forever. Both are equally sacred, not because of their duration, but because of the depth of presence they invite. Think of the people you once thought you could never live without. They may no longer walk beside you, but their lessons, their laughter, their love, these still live within you. Letting go is not forgetting. It is carrying forward the wisdom of what was, without clinging to what can no longer be. Zen wisdom often compares life to flowing water. And if you try to hold on too tightly, the water slips through your fingers. But if you cup your hands gently, the water stays long enough to refresh you. Relationships are the same. They are meant to be experienced fully in the moment, not imprisoned by our demand for permanence. And here lies the paradox. When we release our grip, we love more deeply. When we stop trying to trap people in forever, we can finally meet them as they are, not as we wish them to be. Every goodbye becomes less of a tragedy and more of a reminder. The beauty of love is found in its impermanence. In the end, impermanence is not something to fear. It is what gives life its preciousness. By embracing it, we learn to treasure every encounter, to say thank you more often, to love without conditions. Letting go does not close the heart, it opens it wider. It teaches us that even in endings, there is grace. Even in absence, there is presence. We often believe love and connection are eternal, yet life keeps reminding us with a gentle ache. Everything, even relationships must eventually change. And so we will now move into the next part of today's video, impermanence and the art of letting go in relationships. Buddhism teaches that all things are impermanent. People enter our lives and eventually they leave. Sometimes they drift away gently, sometimes they depart suddenly, but the truth remains. Clinging to permanence only creates suffering. When we insist that someone should stay forever, we resist the natural flow of life. It is like trying to stop the tide with our hands. No matter how strong our grip, the ocean moves on. Letting go, however, does not mean indifference. It means honoring the present moment, cherishing what is here while it is here. A relationship may last decades, weaving itself deeply into the story of your life. Another may last only days or even moments, yet leave an imprint so profound that it changes you forever. Both are equally sacred, not because of their duration, but because of the depth of presence they invite. Think of the people you once thought you could never live without. They may no longer walk beside you, but their lessons, their laughter, their love, these still live within you. Letting go is not forgetting. It is carrying forward the wisdom of what was, without clinging to what can no longer be. Zen wisdom often compares life to flowing water. If you try to hold on too tightly, the water slips through your fingers. But if you cup your hands gently, the water stays long enough to refresh you. Relationships are the same. They are meant to be experienced fully in the moment, not imprisoned by our demand for permanence. And here lies the paradox. When we release our grip, we love more deeply. When we stop trying to trap people in forever, we can finally meet them as they are, not as we wish them to be. Every goodbye becomes less of a tragedy and more of a reminder. The beauty of love is found in its impermanence. Consider how a falling leaf touches us in autumn. We do not mourn its brief presence on the branch. Instead, we marvel at its color, its dance in the wind, its final descent to the earth. Relationships are like that leaf, beautiful because they change, because they cannot last forever. If every tree kept its leaves eternally, we would never know the wonder of spring's rebirth. Modern psychology echoes this truth. Attachment theory shows us that clinging too tightly breeds anxiety, while healthy detachment creates freedom for both people to grow. By allowing relationships to evolve, even to end, we create space for renewal, healing, and new connections. Letting go is not the death of love. It is the soil where love transforms. Impermanence teaches us to treasure the now, to say thank you while we can, to listen more deeply, laugh more freely, and forgive more quickly. When we know that nothing lasts forever, we stop wasting time on pride and resentment and instead pour our energy into presence. In the end, impermanence is not something to fear. It is what gives life its preciousness. By embracing it, we learn to treasure every encounter, to say thank you more often, to love without conditions. Letting go does not close the heart, it opens it wider. It teaches us that even in endings, there is grace. Even in absence, there is presence. And perhaps the most beautiful truth of all, nothing is ever truly lost. It only changes form, living on in memory, wisdom, and love. Accepting impermanence opens the heart, but wisdom asks for more. How do we actually practice this in daily life? We will now move into the next part of today's video. Practical Buddhist guidance for relationships. Buddhist teachings are not abstract ideas meant to stay in books. They are tools to be lived, breathed, and embodied in the way we relate to others. 4 practices stand out as guiding lights: loving kindness, mindfulness, forgiveness, and self-compassion. Each one has the power to transform not only how we connect with others, but how we experience ourselves. 1. Loving kindness, metta. At the heart of Buddhism is metta, the practice of sending goodwill and blessings to all beings. To practice metta in relationships is to replace anger with empathy, resentment with compassion. Imagine silently wishing happiness for the very person who frustrates you most. May you be well. May you be free from suffering. At first, it may feel impossible, yet with repetition, this practice reshapes the heart. Instead of being ruled by anger, you begin to feel a quiet strength, a love that does not depend on conditions. 2. Mindfulness in relationships. Mindfulness is more than sitting in meditation. It is the art of being fully present with those around you. In conversation, it means truly listening, without rehearsing what you'll say next. It means pausing before you react and choosing words that heal rather than wound. How often do we half listen while thinking about our phones, our tasks, or our worries? Mindfulness invites us to put all that aside, to show up with our whole being. When we give someone our full presence, we are telling them, "You matter." And that, more than anything, is love in action. 3. Forgiveness as liberation. Carrying grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Forgiveness in Buddhism is not about saying what happened was okay. It is about releasing the burden we carry in our own hearts. Think of forgiveness as unclenching a fist that has been tight for too long. In relationships, this means allowing space for healing, choosing not to let past hurts define the present. It is an act of courage, and above all, it is an act of freedom for both you and the other. 4. Compassion for yourself. Finally, no practice is complete without turning compassion inward. Relationships are messy, and none of us gets it right all the time. We lose our temper. We withdraw. We make mistakes. Buddhism reminds us, be gentle with yourself. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend. When you stumble, instead of self-criticism, try self-understanding. When you fail, remind yourself, this too is part of being human. By extending compassion inward, we build the resilience needed to extend it outward. Together, these 4 practices form a path of transformation. Loving kindness dissolves anger. Mindfulness deepens connection. Forgiveness frees us from the past. Self-compassion anchors us when we falter. Relationships will always bring joy and pain, harmony and conflict. But when we bring these practices into daily life, something changes. The same difficulties that once felt unbearable become opportunities for awakening. Every smile, every challenge, every moment becomes a step toward wisdom. In the end, Buddhist practice in relationships is not about perfection. It is about presence. Not about never hurting, but about choosing healing. Not about clinging, but about loving fully, then letting go when the time comes. This is the art of living and loving with an awakened heart. As we've seen, relationships are not random. They are profound mirrors shaping who we are. And now we arrive at the next part of today's video, transforming consciousness through relationships. 1. Relationships as karmic mirrors. Every person who enters your life reflects something back to you. Some reveal your kindness, while others expose the wounds you still carry. In Buddhism, this is karma at work, not as punishment, but as reflection. A friend who feels like family may remind you of love you've nurtured across lifetimes. A rival who provokes your anger may simply be showing you the places within yourself that still need healing. Through these mirrors, relationships guide us to see what remains unfinished inside. 2. Learning to release the ego. Disagreements, arguments, and conflicts are not just obstacles. They are opportunities. Each clash challenges the ego's desire to always be right. When you step back, breathe, and choose to listen rather than defend, humility takes root. True growth is not proving that your view is superior. It is realizing that clinging to views creates suffering. In the practice of letting go of "I am right," relationships become a training ground for patience, humility, and deep listening. 3. Expanding into universal love. When we recognize that every person suffers and longs for happiness, something shifts inside us. Compassion is no longer limited to our circle of family and friends. It begins to stretch outward, toward all beings. This is the blossoming of universal love. The colleague who frustrates you, the stranger you'll never see again, even those who hurt you, each of them shares the same longing, to be free from pain. Realizing this softens the heart. It dissolves barriers. What once felt like you versus me transforms into we. 4. Building conscious connections. Finally, relationships can evolve from bonds of control into bonds of freedom. Too often we cling to others out of fear. Fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of being alone. But conscious relationships are different. They are not built on possession, but on presence. They are not about controlling another, but about respecting their path. Gratitude becomes the foundation. Respect becomes the bridge. And love becomes not a cage, but a space wide enough for both souls to grow. When we approach relationships this way, They stop being sources of endless drama and start becoming vehicles of awakening. Each mirror teaches us self-awareness. Each conflict teaches us humility. Each act of compassion expands our capacity to love. And each conscious bond teaches us what true freedom feels like. In the end, relationships are not just about companionship. They are the very ground where transformation happens. They polish the mirror of the soul until it shines with clarity. They stretch the heart until it holds not just one person, but the whole world. And they remind us that the greatest gift we can offer in any connection is not control, but presence, gratitude, and love that sets both people free. Amidst the countless lessons that relationships bring, there lies a single jewel hidden within both joy and sorrow. That jewel is called gratitude, and this is the very essence of the next part in our journey today. It is precisely where love and loss meet that we uncover the deepest essence of life: gratitude. Only when we walk through both sweetness and sorrow do we learn to cherish each fleeting moment and realize that every relationship, whether lasting decades or just a brief encounter, is a gift. Gratitude transforms the way we see the world. It softens our judgments, dissolves resentment, and turns ordinary connections into sacred lessons. When we live with gratitude, patience becomes easier. Compassion flows more naturally. We no longer demand perfection from others because we begin to see their presence as a blessing, not a burden. Think of a time when someone disappointed you deeply. In anger, you might have seen only their flaws. But when viewed through the lens of gratitude, even that painful moment can reveal its gift: the lesson of boundaries, of forgiveness, or of resilience. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it gives pain meaning. Buddhism teaches that gratitude is more than a polite thank you. It is a way of seeing life itself. To bow in gratitude even to the difficulties is to recognize that nothing is wasted. Every encounter waters a seed inside us, sometimes a seed of compassion, sometimes the seed of wisdom. When we cultivate this perspective, no relationship is meaningless. Even heartbreak becomes a teacher. Gratitude also transforms how we treat ourselves. Often we are harsher on our own hearts than we are on others. But when we turn gratitude inward, we begin to see how far we've come, how much we've grown, how many times we've risen after falling. Gratitude toward oneself is the soil in which self-compassion grows, allowing us to extend kindness not only outward, but inward. And perhaps the most profound shift gratitude offers is this: relationships stop being places where we only seek to receive and become spaces where we can give. We give understanding, patience, kindness, and love, not because we expect them in return, but because gratitude itself overflows. To live this way is to live as a presence of healing in the world. In the end, gratitude is not just a virtue, it is a way of being. It reminds us that relationships are not measured by what we take, but by what we give and what we learn. Through gratitude, every bond becomes a thread in the tapestry of awakening. Every relationship we experience, whether filled with joy or marked by struggle, is not just a random event, but part of a sacred journey of the soul. Each person who enters our life becomes both a teacher and a mirror, reflecting back to us the lessons we most need to learn. Through them, we discover patience, compassion, forgiveness, and the quiet strength of letting go. Relationships are not simply about companionship. They are the soil in which our spiritual growth takes root. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see beyond the surface of every interaction. A harsh word becomes a reminder to choose kindness. A moment of misunderstanding becomes an invitation to listen more deeply. And love in all its forms reveals itself not as possession, but as presence. Compassion transforms anger into understanding. Forgiveness melts the heavy chains of resentment. Gratitude turns even endings into blessings. And letting go teaches us that love is most beautiful when it is free. Close your eyes for a moment and think, who in your life has challenged you the most? Perhaps it was not an obstacle, but a hidden gift. Who has loved you so deeply that it awakened your own capacity to love? Perhaps they were showing you what already lived within your heart. In this way, every person, friend, stranger, or even adversary becomes part of your awakening. The wisdom of Zen reminds us that peace is not found in escaping relationships, but in transforming the way we show up in them. When we meet each person with awareness, compassion, and gratitude, our lives begin to change from within. The storms of conflict no longer uproot us, and the sweetness of love no longer makes us cling. Instead, we walk calmly in the middle of life, rooted yet free, connected yet unbound. So, let this be our invitation. Do not see your relationships as accidents, but as sacred threads weaving the fabric of your awakening. Honor them, learn from them, and above all, be grateful for them. If this message touched your heart, take a moment to reflect. What is the greatest lesson a relationship has ever taught you? Share it in the comments. I would love to read your reflections. And if you wish to continue walking this path of Buddhist wisdom, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next teachings we'll explore together. Each video is another step, another doorway into peace, freedom, and awakening. Remember, life is short, relationships are precious, and every encounter is an opportunity to love more deeply. Carry this wisdom with you and let it guide the way you live, love, and grow.